Josh McHale, a third-year broadcast journalism major, hailing from the small town of Callahan, Florida. And I bring you greetings from the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University.
Hey guys, my name is Erin Cooper. I'm a junior at Florida State University, and I'm majoring in editing, writing, and media.
Greetings and humble salutations. I am Jocelyn Ann Binyard, a third-generation rattler, but a second-year pre-professional pharmacy scholar from the illustrious city of Jacksonville, Florida.
You guys were prepared.
Hello, everybody.
My name is Darius Brown. I am a junior sociology major, business minor at Florida State University. Oh, and I come from the amazing, oh so loud city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Hey, okay, Lauderdale in the building. We got Lauderdale in the 904. So today, you guys, we're going to do an HBCU versus PWI video. Like the pros and cons from an HBCU and a PWI. I'm going to explain to you guys what a HBCU is. HBCU stands for Historical Black College University. And Erin?
PWI is a predominantly white institution.
And we attend, as we said, Florida A&M, and they attend
Florida State.
Yep, and we're all here in Tallahassee, so we're just gonna jump right in and hope you guys enjoy the video. First question: why did you choose your HBCU/PWI?
Go ahead.
So me, all right. The reason I chose Florida State was because I got accepted into the Center for Academic Retention and Enhancement program, the CARE program. They basically were gonna pay for my first summer at Florida State, and I mean, they basically coach you through high school. They build a bridge for the high school to college transition. So, I mean, I didn't have an HBCU that offered that. So, I mean, you know, you got to go where the money is.
I actually didn't choose my PWI. I always knew I was going to go to one just because I didn't know much about an HBCU, but my parents didn't as well, so they actually chose Florida State for me. And I actually like it now, so.
I love FAMU, you know, being that I'm a third-generation rattler, you know, it was only right, but they have like one of the best pharmacy programs. I was just drawn to it at the orientation. I was just like, you know, it's lit here. I feel so at home. Everybody was welcoming. They were nice, and I just love it here so far.
Well, I chose an HBCU because where Erin and I are from, we went to a high school that was predominantly white. And when I graduated from high school, I just wanted something different. I wanted to experience my culture more and hang out with people that are more like me and get a better understanding for my culture. And so that's why I chose an HBCU. Next question. Typically, what are the admission processes like for minorities at your school?
So I was reading on the website a little bit, and that's something you really want to look at often because it's gone up, I think, since we applied, if I'm not sure. And it's, I don't know, it's about a 30% minority percentage at Florida State specifically, and that includes the students, the faculty, and the staff, not just African Americans, but all minority. But I will say it's probably about a 3.5 minimum GPA. And that's minimum. Is it higher than that?
Florida State, I say
that's,
at the very least 3.9.
Yeah, around that.
Florida State.
The stakes are really kind of high, but the CARE program, definitely look into that. I know that for a fact.
And as far as over here at FAMU, I know our admission, you have to have a 2.5 GPA, and I believe it's a 20. Yes, it's a 20 on the ACT, and a 2.5 GPA. So how do you guys feel as far as like the admission for an PWI and versus the HBCU when it comes to us African Americans, like at your school and versus our school?
I mean, I don't really look at it as this is just a thing for me because it's not like they have it where black people you have to have a 3.5, white people you can have a whatever. It's just like, I mean, these are the admissions to get into the institution, so you can't really hold a GPA accountable for like a culture, or you can't like a GPA like have anything to do with diversity. That's just the requirements that we have. Whether you're white, black, Spanish, Latino, we need you to have that 3.8, like highest SAT, ACT score. You just gotta have it. That like because Florida State has so many resources, not everybody should be allotted every little bit of resource. You know, like you have $100 million things on the campus, and it's just like a 2.0 student. Do you really deserve that?
But also with that being said, I kind of just believe for the most part, I mean, it's just not necessarily obvious, but it is more than likely for an HBCU to have lower admission requirements than a PWI, especially one like Florida State. So again, kind of what he was saying, that's mainly what they do for us. Do you actually want to be here bad enough to not have that GPA or those test scores that you need to be able to get the type of education that you want at Florida State?
Right, and I agree with that. But then over here at our school, we have a 2.5 GPA, but I feel like it offers opportunities to those who weren't as focused, like myself. In high school, Aaron knows just as well as I do, I was focused on like being that popular guy and trying to reach out to my friends, and I wasn't really into academics like that, but I knew I had the potential. I knew I had the potential on what I could do. I knew what I could do, and it's just that I feel like applying to a PWI, like you don't necessarily get a second chance at the experience that you want or at the education that you want.
Yeah, I feel that at FSU, I had a 20 on the ACT, I had a booming GPA, and they didn't offer me no money, so it's kind of like what's really good. But at FAMU, I do feel like the requirements are much lower because we don't want to limit based on what you made to determine you like, okay, you're not good enough, because like Josh was saying, like everybody's not as focused in high school. Everybody can't make those scores, so they shouldn't just limit your education based on what you make. That's pretty much it.
I mean, I guess that's the great thing about HBCU, though, that they can have institutions like that, especially for minorities like us, to be able to have a place. There's no excuse that you can't have higher education.
Do you think that it's an advantage to have both of our schools so close together? Yes.
Yeah.
I say yes because you get the best of both worlds, honestly. Like us having it, like both of these schools being in Tallahassee, like we can go over to FSU football games and turn up over there. They can come to our homecoming because we know it's always lit and more lit than theirs.
Literally 10 minutes apart. That's fine.
They really
it's
like.
true,
And so it's right down the street. So yeah.
I think it's good to have both college campuses so close because you can have the best of both worlds. You can have the Market Wednesday vibe and then the Set Friday vibe. Like you get to see two completely different just types of people in a week. Like there are so many. You got to think that there are about 40,000 people at Florida State, and how many people at FAM?
I think we have like 10,000.
Yeah.
10,000, and then that's not even including TCC. So you have so many different people. Like I think that we can actually start building something. Like, ooh, we could get a Black Wall Street jumping, y'all.
Oh, yeah, that'll be lit. That'll be lit. Anyone else? You got something else?
I just like going to a PWI. Sometimes you want to experience a whole entirely new, different environment. As soon as you step over the tracks, there's just so much culture and history, and like where we came from, you don't have none of that. I'm telling you, I grew up around non-colored people my whole life, and just coming to Tallahassee, I've learned how to be black, and I don't even go to an HBCU. Like I'm so serious, just learning about your culture. I'm serious. Being around people like you that look like you and want to be successful like you, it's great having all of that in one city.
Yeah.
I want to know, how did you learn to be black? At what age do you feel like you learned to be black?
I learned to be black. I didn't really start learning about black history until probably like the 11th grade.
Once you start getting slapped in the face with like real black history,
Learning,
like,
yeah.
whoa, where was this every
about
black history month of my life?
And surprisingly, over at FAMU, people think just because it's a historical black college, they think that it's not a lot of culture over there, but we have a lot of culture over at FAMU.
People be like, FAMU's not diverse. You have blacks from the south, the north, freaking the islands, everywhere.
Yeah, and you have whites that go there, you have Hispanics that go there.
Yeah.
You have all types of cultures that go to HBCUs, and I honestly feel like blacks are kind of like going down in the HBCUs, you know what I'm saying? Because we're starting to get more minorities at the HBCUs.
Blacks are actually the minority.
So next question, what is the representation of minority like at your school? Like BSU, NCNW, Sisters, PBM, and FAMU as is.
I mean, if you go to, of course, the black orgs, you're gonna see black people in representation, but you also have a lot of people who are in like SGA, NPHC. You have black leaders, I mean, everywhere on Florida State campus, so you can't really, I mean, because Florida State's demography is just so small and like the minority I guess population is so minute compared to the white population, it's just not going to be possible to see, black people everywhere around Florida State. But you do, give credit when it's due to when you see certain people in power. So, I mean, we have, I wouldn't say that we have an equal amount of, black people to white people at Florida State as far as superiority, but I mean, I would say we got a decent amount of people out there representing.
As opposed to where we come from, Josh, I was really surprised to see how much there is opportunity for blacks to hold positions on campus. So like there are representation, I would say, for us. Like you said though, it's not equal by a long shot. But there is opportunity. Like if you work hard enough and you go that extra mile, of course, sometimes it's going to be harder for us to go that extra mile to get where we want to be. But the fact that it's obtainable on Florida State campus, that's pretty nice to know.
Yeah. Next question. We have, how are the classroom setups and how do they affect their education? I'll start out. You want to start out?
Okay, I'll start out.
All right,
so
go ahead.
At FAMU, the class range, depending on what class you take. So with my majors, all the science classes, so you probably have at least probably 40 to 50 at the most, not too much, so it's a lot of hands-on. So my professor knows who I am versus in a large environmental classroom. It's kind of like, who's that, But it's smaller, a lot of hands-on, you'll know the professor, and it's not really that big. Like our class, what do you think, Josh?
I think I really enjoy like having that one-on-one with my professor.
Yeah, I want you to know who I am.
Because like in my classes now, like the closer you get to your major, you get involved in your major, like the class is getting smaller.
And smaller.
And so it's like, but the classes have never really been over 60 at FAMU.
I think the most
60 to 70.
Yeah, I think the most people that I had in my
75.
class probably about 75, 80.
Yeah.
No bigger than that.
So
yeah,
like
no bigger than that.
I like, you can still
Right.
like find your way to your professor and like make that connection with your professor. I think that's very important. So they understand what type of person you are, and just all that stuff is very important when it comes to like making a connection with your professor.
My first 2 years at Florida State were the hardest ever. Transitioning from being in 25 max to hundreds of students not having a place to sitting on the freaking staircases of auditoriums.
I remember them text messages.
It is ridiculous. I think the closer you get into your major now, my class's max is probably like 50 and minimum at least 30. But I don't think I'll ever have those small classes until I get like in my writing labs and things like that. I'm a writing, editing major, by the way. But what are your classes like?
All right, so from my freshman year up to now, I can say that my biggest class was definitely my science class,
Those
biology.
Yeah.
It was we used to have to take the eye clicker things and take attendance. So it was like, I think the most I ever remember was like 654.
Yeah.
This is
In
654.
a class?
Yes.
In a class. It's
I
like
thought,
it was in the
Like,
it was in Ruby Diamond
654 people in one artist.
654.
Oh
To make matters worse, there were 4 different professors. This was like the only time I ever had a class this big, but there were 4 different professors for each different unit throughout the semester. So you gotta study. Like we had to get 4 different books for each set course.
Oh my God.
It was stupid. But
How do they expect y'all to learn? Like, you know what I'm saying?
they expect you to
do it.
know how to read. You knew how to get here. So
So does your professor know your name? Like,
No.
who you are?
hell no.
Every
know
time
your
you
name.
email them,
You feel like that's a bad thing, though?
Every time you email them, you have to say your full name, the class,
Yeah.
section,
Hey, look, I want you to know me because when it comes to my grades, I'm gonna need you to know. Like,
I mean,
hey,
but-
Hey, when you knocking on that door, trying to get
get the
that
office out. I want you to know who I
But
am.
at the same time, you can do that with well, not the 650 some class, but I mean, I have other classes that even when, like, I want to say in ACB, that's the huge classroom building. That's literally what it stands for. It's like maybe 300 kids. I can have personal relationships with certain teachers, but you got to remember, even if you got 500 kids in the class, how many are going to office hours? No. How many are going to office hours? Because, you can build somewhat of a close relationship, raising your hand, talking here and there, but, how much do they see you face to face? Do they know what your aspirations are while you're in college? Like, visiting. For any high schoolers watching this, the best thing to do when you get to college is go to office hours. That is your
Introduce
best.
yourself.
So I guess my next question would be, being that